Hello and welcome to episode 64 of the Bad Dice Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Curry. And before we get into the show, we've got a bit of news. Unfortunately, Ben Johnson is no longer going to be part of the show. He's moved on to pastures new, things in his personal life. We've not had a fallout or anything like that. He's not rage quitting Warhammer. He's still playing. You'll still be able to see him at tournaments. But he's, for the foreseeable future, he's not going to be involved with the podcast. If you want to contact him, you can get hold of him at benjohnson@baddice.co.uk or send him a tweet on Twitter. It's probably the easiest way, actually. It's baddice_podcast on Twitter. And I'm sure if you ask him, he'll tell you why he's moving on, but I'll leave it to him to tell those who ask, rather than telling everyone on the show. At this time, we don't know how long he's going to be away. It might be permanent, might not be, but for the foreseeable future, it's just me. So we're going to do a few things to deal with this. Later in the show, we've got a couple of guests on, and for the time being, that's the way we're going to operate. It's going to be myself with guests. I'm going to have interviews with hopefully all the top players from around the world, interviews at events like we normally do. So yeah, plenty of content. No danger of Bad Dice going anywhere. You're going to be able to get us every couple of weeks, just as business as usual from this end. So, business as usual, we're going to start with our episode sponsors. And first and foremost, Odd Games. They're our longest sponsor. Been with us most time. So, we'll start with them. oddgames.co.uk. Check them out. They're an online store selling anything you could possibly need for your hobby. All your Warhammer at cheap prices. The deal of the week this week is Chaos in the Old World, the game by Fantasy Flight Games. You can get a tenner off, so check them out. It's oddgames.co.uk. Next up, we've got Rankings HQ. Rankings HQ are a worldwide ranking site. In addition to that, they've just launched Rankings HQ TV. It's been out a few months now, and they've had 35 episodes. I was watching the latest one today. It's the terrain studio section with a guy called Sean Morris. He teaches you how to build terrain from all sorts of stuff, whether it's off the shelf products down to the Blue Peter style of cardboard boxes and double-sided tape. So check them out. There's also an interview with Jen Haley, one of the top Golden Demon winning painters at Adepticon. And also the latest video, which is hot off the press. I don't actually think it's out yet, but I've managed to have a sneak peek. It's a battle report. Now, it is a War Machine and Hordes one, so it might not interest our listeners. However, it is a good idea of things that might be to come in the future. So you can check that out, all on the rankingshq.com. The battle report is pretty impressive, even if you don't know what's going on with the game. Imagine what it's going to look like when they start churning out Warhammer ones. So get over there and have a look. Our next sponsor is Battlefoam. You check them out at www.battlefoam.com. They're now open officially in the UK. And so go on the website and choose the UK section if you're buying from the UK. Save all that expensive shipping costs from the States. Some new products they've got a new addition to the pack system. It's called Pack Air. It's the exact size for hand luggage in the UK. Travelling anywhere in the world. It fits in the hand luggage requirements. It's got wheels and a handle like you'd expect from a little suitcase. And it's actually made from Kelvar, the material that strengthens it. So you can actually shoot it, and it should be bulletproof, knife-proof. Maybe I wouldn't trust my life with it, but it's worth checking out. So that's the Pack Air. As we've said before, not the cheapest bag on the market, but certainly the best. Okay, and last but not least, unseenlurker.com. It's a gaming magazine, actual paper magazine you can have in your hand, like White Dwarf sort of thing, but a world of difference. Mainly focused on Warhammer, but they do cover all sorts of different gaming. They've got quite a wide spread. Issue 9's coming soon, and you'll be able to check it online shortly. You get a quarter of the magazine available to download before you buy it, so you can decide if you want to actually buy it or not, which is quite good, because normally it means standing in the supermarket or WH Smith's, thumbing through and seeing if it's worth it. But you can do that from the comfort of your own home. Check it out online. It's unseenlurker.com. Okay, in addition to our regular sponsors, we also have an episode sponsor, Justin Hill. Justin's released a book this month. He's an author, proper author and everything. Listens to Bad Dice. Get that, eh? It's called Shield Wall. It's the first in a series of books that's set in the time leading up to the Battle of Hastings. So it's sort of an alternate history story of the Vikings invasion. Seems really good. I've not had a chance to get my hands on one yet. Hopefully we'll get one soon. Justin says he'll send a couple of copies in so I can have a read, do a review, and give some away as prizes. So when I get hold of them, I'll be sure to let you know. So you can check it out. You can check out, just do a Google search for Justin Hill Shield Wall. You can get it on all your major book stockists, Amazon, Waterstones, that sort of thing. Couple of accounts from other authors, reviews of the books. So Dan Abnett says, as close as an eyewitness account to this major Dark Age conflict as you could hope for without getting caught up in the line of fire. Bracing and real. Graham McNeil goes on to say, Shield Wall brings the bloody history of ancient England to life in a tale that paints an unflinchingly vivid portrait of these legendary times, with evocative language that reeks of smoke-filled halls and a realism that drags the reader into the front ranks of battle. Justin Hill has crafted a novel that thrillingly exhausts and enthralls in equal measure. So yeah, check it out. That's Shield Wall by Justin Hill. So, thanks very much to Justin for sponsoring an episode. If anyone else wants to sponsor an episode, if you want us to give you a shout out to your tournaments, your gaming clubs, or just some smack talk to your mate, you can sponsor us online on the Bad Dice /sponsor us. Check it out. It's only a tenner for a show, and it goes to help support the show. So, get online and have a look at that. Okay, so we're going to go straight into my fortnight in fantasy. So I've been doing a bit of everything, really. I've done some painting. It's been my Signar War Machine stuff, admittedly. My Dark Elves are... they're not on the back burner, but I've got no painting that needs doing on them at this time. Got a few bits that need finishing before my next tournament, but it's a while away yet. I've had to pull out of the Summer Incursion event at Maelstrom Games this weekend due to just birthdays and weekends away and all the other stuff that real life gets in the way of. Which I'm quite gutted about, actually, because the army lists have gone up online and nothing there really scares what list I was bringing, so I'd fancied my chances. I managed to win the event last year, so I'm a bit disappointed that I can't go and defend it. But yeah, been painting my Signar, trudging through. I don't know why I chose yellow, because it is a nightmare to paint. I actually tweeted about this and got quite a few good replies. The best way is to go with the foundation yellow and then build up from there, and that was all the recommendations, and that's exactly what I was doing already. But it's such a nightmare. It's like 5 different coats of just base colours, never mind any mix-ins and highlights and washes and things like that in between. But we're getting there. Got 2 weeks before my tournament, so hopefully I'll get them all done. That's about all I've done for painting. Playing games, I played against Chris Taylor. He's on the show later on to talk about the Tomb Kings. We had a bit of a game last night. I was using my standard Dark Elf list, which is level 4, a Cauldron of Blood, a Pegasus Hero, a level 2. Then my core is 25 Spearmen, a unit of 10 Spearmen, which are great in every game, a unit of 30 Corsairs, a unit of 20 Blackguard, 2 units of 10 Shades, and a Hydra. So pretty solid, nothing too over the top and just unstoppable, but they've all got good synergies, works together well, and I've been playing it a lot. So against Chris, we had a good game. It was looking quite close. I'd paired my Blackguard off against his 4 Necropolis Knights. Not really sure of how it would go. I know in the past when I've fought him, I've not had the combat or spell buffs on my Blackguard, and I've lost the Blackguard unit. But I thought 5-up ward on the Blackguard, he could charge me, I'll get 30 attacks, should go alright, hopefully won't have enough left to do a load of damage. He didn't go for the charge, and instead I managed to get the charge on him, got the Mind Razor off on 4 dice, a bit cheekily, with 2 6s, and ran through and managed to get into his big skelly bunker with all his characters in. Eventually lost the Blackguard, but I held him there long enough for the Corsairs to come in and wipe up. But yeah, it was a good game. Like I say, it was very tit for tat early on, but then once the Blackguard got through, they just wiped up. Other fortnights in fantasy, so I've been watching Game of Thrones. I think everyone I've spoke to except Johnson is absolutely loving it. There's not many people that aren't. Anyone who's not watching it, I'd definitely recommend checking it out. Also, I've been watching the new Camelot. The first episode was on this weekend, and I watched it, and I thought it was really, really good. It's the story of Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, and all that, Merlin. And, yeah, really, really enjoyed it. It's a different take on the series. Merlin isn't an old, wizened man. He's actually a young bloke, or he looks young. I'm sure he's been alive for a couple of 100 years, has been hinted at in the show. Lots of intrigue and bit of nakedness, which is always goes down well. So yeah, good show. I'd definitely recommend watching Camelot. Other than that, I think that's about all I've done, which is actually quite a lot. Plenty of painting, watching some good shows on the telly. I've done a bit of reading, finishing off my Dresden Files short stories. So yeah, it's all good. So we're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, I'm going to talk about some news, because there's been plenty of it. Hi guys, I just want to take a minute to tell you about an amazing new product from Battlefoam. It's the brand new Battlefoam Warhammer Fantasy Trays. Battlefoam have recently released 40 of these trays, pre-cut to suit any of your fantasy army needs. If you have a huge monster, an amazing character, or a wild conversion, you can also design your own tray using the Battlefoam Custom Tray Creator. You can get a unique custom tray to suit your unique custom army. Battlefoam also make a revolutionary range of bags called the Pack System. These bags are designed to carry your army in total safety, no matter how big or small. There'll be a bag designed for exactly what you want. No matter what it is you need transporting, you can find the foam and bag to do it at battlefoam.com. Okay, and on to the news. So, the big news of the last fortnight is that Storm of Magic is coming. There's pictures of, I think there are snaps of either a White Dwarf or the actual book itself. There's a book coming. It's going to be a supplement to the Magic system. All the wizards are going to get loads of new spells. There's going to be new spell cards. There's loads of models, terrain, everything. So the biggest things is we've got a Black Dragon with Dark Elf Lord riding it. We've got a Manticore with a Chaos Lord. And we've got a Cockatrice and a Chimera, both unridden. So that's quite interesting. See how they're factored into the game with them being unridden monsters. It's going back to the old 5th edition days, I think that is, when you used to have the Imperial Zoo and you could take unridden monsters as part of your armies. There was loads of stuff in the old game which you could have in your army. You could just bring like 1,000 points of normal stuff and then another 1,000 points of monsters. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. There's some new Magic users models are out. So there's a photo of a Vampire Count Necromancer, a Dark Elf Sorceress, and 2 Chaos Sorcerers. One's like a sorcerer, one's like a Demon of Tzeentch type Chaos Sorcerer, like he's been converted by Tzeentch. All looking pretty tasty. And apparently they're plastic. So plastic single figures. It's be interesting to see what they're like once they get here. I'm personally really looking forward to getting my hands on some of the new terrain which is coming out. It looks just well over the top and massive, which just seems to be what Warhammer's going like at the moment. But it looks pretty good. I'm going to look forward to getting hold of that and painting some up. Other news, so we've got a new Vampire Counts monster, which is, I don't know anything about it. It's just, again, another photo of, looks like it's from a White Dwarf, which says a new Vampire Counts monster's coming. And that's pretty much all it says. So God knows what that's going to be. Hopefully we'll find out sooner rather than later, because new monsters for an existing army, it seems a bit odd, but well, we'll see what it brings. Okay, in other news, as we'll talk about later in the show, there's been some more Tomb Kings released. So we've got the new Finecast Ashapti and some character models all in Finecast. I've actually bought one of these myself. I picked up the Leech Priest. Unfortunately, it had a big fault line all the way down its halberd, which I was quite disappointed with. Looks like a bit of mould slip. I'd been told there was common problems with the model. Parts of its face was miscast and parts of its collar was miscast. So I checked both of them while it's in the store and in the packaging. And they looked fine. Picked it up, and I found out later that the halberd had a fault on it. So pretty gutted at that. However, the manager of the Games Workshop Warhammer World store was dead helpful, dead friendly. Says he'll replace it, just bring it back. No questions asked. So if you've picked up any Finecast models, you've got any problems with them at all, take them back in, and you should get an exchange for them straight away. No questions asked. Other news: the Warhammer Forge Chaos Dwarf pre-orders are up. You can see the Magna Cannon and there's 2 war machines. Yeah, there's a big Magna Cannon and some Deathlock kit. So you can check them out on the Forge World website. They're both available to buy, and the rules are up for them as well. So for those of you that are interested in the Mantic Games stuff, they've just announced a range of blisters, so you can get all the single metal characters what they've released in the past. You can buy them all now as blister packs, so you can check that out over at the Mantic Games website. which I believe is manticgames.co.uk or manticgames.com. So yeah, there's some nice models in that range. So yeah, go over there and check them out. Use them in your dwarf and your elf armies. So I think that about wraps up the news. The biggest thing, obviously, is the Storm of Magic, and the best place to see all that is on the Bad Dice forums. It's free to sign up. Just head over to baddice.co.uk/forums.
RHQ TV, a videocast dedicated to gaming enthusiasts. Catch the latest tabletop gaming products, get painting and modelling tips from industry experts, watch interviews with leading industry personalities, and in full high-definition video. RHQ TV is for you. More than 100 minutes of high-definition video every month. News, interviews, tournament reports, and product reviews. Warhammer 40k and Fantasy, Flames of War, War Machine, and Hordes, and more.
www.rankingshq.com. RHQ TV. Game on.
Okay, so we have some special guests with us now to do the Tomb Kings review. So we have Singe.
Hiya.
And Chris.
Hi there.
Two Tomb Kings generals from a few years, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, quite a long time now.
So,
I think about 2002, long enough.
Yeah.
So you've been playing in 7th. Have you been playing in 8th edition with the 7th edition Tomb King, or 6th edition Tomb King book at all?
I did try, but there were absolute no point, so I give up after a couple of games because it's not just absolute no worth.
Really that bad? Okay, fair enough.
When the book came out and got beaten within turns of starting a game, I thought, yeah, we need something new.
Fair enough, and you just thought you'd hang on until something new comes, and that it did. So, new book, new models, all the rest. Have you done anything to your armies ready for the new book, or have you just rehashed your existing stuff?
Rehashed the existing stuff and bought all the new stuff because it's quite good. Well, some of it is, yeah.
Lots of toys to buy and lots to put together. Nice models, though.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? So we'll start with that. I mean, obviously the book came out. It's got a right rake of new models. So we've had a War Sphinx / Necro Sphinx plastic kit. What else? We had Stalkers and Knights in one kit. Plastic Tomb Guard. A new Leech Priest. A new Necrotech model. Couple of new special characters, I think, isn't it? Plastic Ashapti with great bows. So what have you guys added to? What have you've got yours on the table now, haven't you, Chris? Some of yours.
Yeah, I got some of the models here.
So what do you think? Putting the new kits together, are they good or?
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of the kits are really nice. I mean, I liked the War Sphinx kit. I made it as well and magnetised that one, so I could use it as both that War Sphinx and the Hydra Titan. But I know there's been a lot of ribbing about the snakes, but I do like the snakes, and they're good models, easy to put together as well. Yeah,
I'm really impressed by them. I'm not putting any together myself yet, but they do look good on the table.
They look a lot better when they're done by people that actually are going to use them rather than the ones that seem to be in Games Workshop that look really rubbish. But in the real, if you put them so they look like they're surfing, they do look quite nice.
So what have you added to yours then, Singe?
I've got one War Sphinx at the moment. I'll probably get another one because I don't think one works on its own. I've got a unit of 4 done of the snakes at the moment, and I'll get another unit done as well because I like those. But I also quite like the spitters, or the eye, what do you call them? The
sepulchral stalkers.
Stalkers, yeah. I really quite like those. I might get some of the Ashabti because I've got 9 Ashabti anyway. So
you go for some of the Bowman ones as well?
Yeah, the Bowman ones, because I don't think the other ones are worthwhile using at the moment.
And have you picked up some Finecast stuff, either of you?
I haven't got any of the Finecast stuff yet.
I only picked up the Leash Priest that they released the other day, just so I have another variation to the army, because there wasn't many options available.
You've not painted it yet, though, have you?
No, it's still sitting there waiting to be sprayed up and painted. I think the tournament's at least 2 days away, so I've got plenty of time.
You'll be all right then. You'll be all right. All right. Well, we'll get into what's new in the book rules wise. So, what's the biggest thing that jumped out of you first for the army as a whole? Did you... I'll talk to Chris here, sorry. Looking at someone on the radio doesn't really work, does it? Looking at the new rules and that, is there anything particular that really struck you as...
I think, to be honest, the one that's the best one has got to be the My Will Be Done, to be honest. I think it's so useful. I know people are slated skeletons. They're still only skeletons, but when they're weapon skill 6 or 5, depending on if you've got a king or a prince in there, it makes them a lot more survivable. And as someone found out, they cost. Weapon skill 6 killing blow with +1 attack skeletons are fantastic.
Yeah, they are good. They do need a lot of buffs to get the most out of them, don't they?
They do need the buffs, yeah.
So we've got the My Will Be Done rule. The Hierophant rule's pretty much the same as it was before, isn't it? What else is in there new, rules-wise? Constructs, they've now get a ward save if they're near a necrotech. Hierophant gives a ward save to the unit, doesn't it? Regenerate,
yeah, it does. Yeah, if you've got the Hierophant in the unit, it gives them a 6+ regen, which isn't very much, but it might make a bit of a difference to incoming missile fire or combat, as long as they ain't flaming, obviously. But it's something nice. And the necrotechs, I really like the necrotechs because they do give your constructs 6+ ward is quite nice. Or 6+ regen, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's it's still something better than for nothing. For he's only 60 points, so it doesn't really matter if he dies. If he's got 3 units of constructs, it's for 60 points. Have a 6+ regen. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's just something added on, isn't it? So the other rules, the Entomb Beneath the Sands has had quite a change, hasn't it? So what do you think to that compared to the old ones?
A bit of a nerf, really, compared to the other one. Your Scorpies aren't quite as good. Because they can't actually charge, so you pretty well you turn up and then get shot by whatever it is. They're not quite as good. It's still quite nice though, because you can go anywhere and you don't have to put the marker down, so that people can't sort of anticipate where you're going to go. So you just turn up when they do, and then that's it. They're there.
I think the frustration I found with it is the fact that before you would used to take a Scorpion and you'd go, well, I'll tunnel it or I won't put it underground, I'll deploy it, and now with the rules that are written at the moment, you obviously have to tunnel them because they're ambushes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing because it used to be quite tactical to keep a Scorpion up in your battle line, which you can't do anymore. And that's, I think, one of the bigger problems with the Entombed rule.
Yeah, and you've got the risk of them just not turning up when you really need them to.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so moving on to the actual rules of the units and whatnot. We'll start with characters, I think. So... Special characters, a bit meh. We don't really, no one uses them much, really, do they? Some nice things in there. They've still got Khalida, Cetra's in there. Is the Ark and the Black in there as well? I think.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's in there now.
He's about probably the one that maybe you'd use, but the rest of them aren't too much. And there's another one that gives you Frenzy and Hatred, which is quite nice. But as most tournament players, you're not allowed to use special characters. So
yeah. So on to the Lord choices. The biggest thing is that you've got to have a Hierophant of some sort. So the High Leech Priest, you never used to see it in the old edition. Every Tomb King army I'm seeing now is bringing one. Do you think it's essential to the list?
Yeah, you need magic in this army because otherwise you're not going to do enough. You need some of the healing spells to get some of the stuff back, and you also need the others. You need magic. You can't work it without. You've got to have one anyway, so you could go light, but you still need something to deal with it because otherwise you can't march, you can't get up there and deal with things otherwise. So you need the magic to make it work, which is why I think the Hierophant Titan and the Casket is going to be pretty much standard for every Tomb King list, unless you're really fluffy.
Yeah,
I think I really want to try out a list that doesn't have a High Leech Priest, but I think that would involve having lots of the sort of constructs and other things that you can't really heal via magic anyway, so you're less reliant on the magic side of things. But at the same time, I haven't tried it yet because I don't own enough models. So
fair enough. So the Tomb King, is this something you think you'll see a lot of? I know you've been running one a bit, haven't you, Chris?
Yeah, I like him for the defensive ability for the skeleton unit. Adding the weapon skill there, it's useful, and there's options. They do die, but it's not the end of the world for Tomb King if your general dies. Just give some points away.
Fair enough. What do you think, Singe?
Yeah, I think some of the options that you can get with the magic items that you can put on him makes him particularly vicious. You can have a 60-point item that gives him, basically stops everybody else using their rerolls for the battle standard bearer, and they can't use the leadership. I think there might be quite a few units with the Tomb King and Chariot and that item, which will make a big difference, I think. And then you've still got the Destroyer of Eternities, which has been dropped down a little bit, but it's still a pretty nasty piece of kit. And people will worry about it, but then he's on foot. He's still got to get in there and and fight on foot, which people can avoid. But he's leadership 10, so if you do lose a Hierophant, when you lose a Hierophant, which is what usually happens, then everybody's not dying so quick when he dies. So he's pretty good for the leadership, and the weapon skill 6 does make a massive difference on your bog standard skellies, or even your archers are still weapon skill 6. So things can't really do a lot to them, really.
Okay, fair enough. So you mentioned the Tomb King and the Chariot. You didn't mention the Tomb King and the Tomb Guard unit passing his leadership on. Weapon skill on. Do you not think that's a viable option, or is it just too static and too many points in one place?
I think it's a lot of points, and that's the risk I've run when I've been using the Tomb Guard initially. It's such a big unit of points that unfortunately you don't get you don't gain a lot because of the killing blow. People like to avoid it anyway, and they still die really easily to mass shooting and other bits and pieces.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I shot yours up pretty good, didn't I? Last time
you did. Ridiculous.
Some rude dice. Okay, so while we're on the subject of the lords and whatnot, I suppose we best talk about the magic items and the magics. So the biggest thing from the Orc and Goblin book and followed into the Tomb King book is the lack of magic items compared to the old books. Do you think this is a problem? I mean, you've got a rake of items in the common section now, so do you need more than the 8, or is it, I don't know, do they lack some flavour because of lack of magic items?
I think so. I think that they've lost some of the major items that were very handy for the Tomb Kings. So they've lost the Flail of Skulls, which was really quite, it's not too bad. You can put it on a prince and he can do some damage then. They've lost a few other bits and pieces as well, which makes it more flavoursome, whereas at the moment you're getting all the stuff from the normal book, so everybody's got the same sort of stuff. But there's only 2 items really I'd take from that would be possibly, if you're allowed to use it, the plaque of incantations or whatever it is, the scroll that gives you
Nephala's Scroll of Mighty Incantations. So we'll just have a rundown of this, because it's getting a lot of talk on the forums about comp and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Wizard can declare he's using Nephala's Scrolls of Mighty Incantations immediately before casting a spell. If he does so, Wizard must add a number of extra bonus dice equal to his Wizard level to the power dice he's going to roll, and you still need to use at least 1 dice. The bonus dice do not count as power dice. However, a roll of any double when casting a spell using them will cause irresistible force and a miscast. So, to get the best of it, you've got to run it on your level 4, really, because you add 4 dice, and it's only the 4 bonus dice being a double that makes it irresistible. So, I mean, is it worth taking? Is it broken enough to need comping?
I don't think so.
50 points as well.
Think the thing is, as well, if you're taking on your level 4, you're taking your Nekhara magic, and there's nothing amazing in that magic deck that you're going to be wanting. I must cast that spell with irresistible force. There's some key moments.
There's a few. I mean,
and then you've got a miscast, which is not good on your Hierophant.
No,
because he is going to die.
Yes, and you can't combo it up with the Earthing Rod, unfortunately.
And now you can't heal him either, so that's a major problem. You can't heal any of the characters, so your Hierophant's dead when he's dead. You can't do anything about it.
Okay, so you don't think it needs no comp? Neither do I. Personally, it's I don't think it's something you'd see in armies if it's not comped. So there's no need to comp it. It's something that isn't used. As for the other items, I mean, Cloak of the Dunes.
I don't know. I've used it on my Leash Priest, High Leash Priest, when they've been needing to get out of trouble. It's useful. It's a 10-inch move. You can jump between units. I haven't been using it for its ability of hitting units with
2d6 strength
2s. But it's more of use for survivability, jumping unit to unit, because you can never march. Yeah,
just 10 inches instead of 4. So fair enough. What about the other stuff? We've got the Undying Legion standard. It used to be a staple of every 7th edition list.
Don't think so now. Not as a power level bound 5 item, so you can dispel it really easily with a level 4, and it's going to need at least 2 dice to chuck to actually get it off. So
eating into magic phase.
Yeah, I don't unless you got because it doesn't say that you can't use it on constructs. So if you can join a construct with it, so you've got to take your BSB. then it might be worthwhile. If you've got a big unit of constructs, then you can get him in there and get them healed up, which might be quite worthwhile. But it's still a lot of points for something that maybe isn't. It's only 260 points for 4 snakes, so maybe it's a bit over to keep them alive, you know. But if you can move from unit to unit, then that'd be okay. But otherwise, don't think so.
No, I'm not sure on that neither. So what else we got? The Destroyer we've already mentioned. Still think it's quite viable. The Blade of Antarak, Antarak, something like that.
Something. I don't know. I quite like that one. It's the only item that can heal a character. If you want to take a defensive king, it's quite useful to have. You get your wounds back. You're unlikely to lose your king straight off to sort of average, choppy heroes. And you get your wounds back at the end of the combat.
Are you not better off with +2 strength sword and healing potion? It's
possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's rulebook items that are going to be the ones that are seen, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the magic? I mean, you've got a new law of magic. Obviously, your leeches get access to death and light as well. What do you think to the law of the Nekaraka?
I think it's a nice list. It's nothing is in there is outrageously bad. The only thing that you really want to get through is smiting, because that can make a big difference on units of chariots. Or
on the flip side of that, though, there's nothing in there which you'd think you've got to have every time, isn't it? So it's a good selection, I think.
Yeah, it's nice. The 6 spell's a bit weak compared to other ones, I think, maybe.
But conversely, the 6 spell I found, especially with so many people running hordes, you get a little vortex off that's strength 4 over the whole horde unit, and you do take out a good portion of the horde.
But it's a 15 to cast.
It is, but it's only 11 to cast, and then you've got the High Titans D3, and it's not that many dice to cast on a 15.
No, I suppose not. No, I'll give you that. Especially when you can combination it with the desiccation, which has got to be the choice one of the law, I think, for me.
Yeah, it's pretty good, that. It helps if you've got your archers, makes them wound a lot easier. But if you're going for the big one, then you could really do a lot of hurt with your shooting on that. If you get a decent roll, if you roll a 5 or a 6, -3 toughness, it makes it massive. But you're on a 24 there, and I think it's a 12, isn't it, normal?
So while we're still on the subject of magic, what sort of magic setups have you guys been running? You mentioned earlier the Hydro Titan for the extra D3 to each spell, a couple of bound spells, and the Casket to add D3 power dice. What about your wizard? What wizards are you running?
I've been taking pretty much level 4 on the High Leash Priest of Nekahara, and then I've been running 1 or 2 light mages with just a level 1 and just see what they do, see what spell you roll up. Banishment can be useful, Net can be useful, or just Shem's Burning Gaze and have a long-range magic missile.
Yep.
Yeah, I've gone pretty much the same. Obviously, Hierophants using the common Law of Nekara. And then I've got a level 4, and for this weekend I'm taking 2 level 1s and a level 1 for Nekara as well. So I've got pretty much what I need. Whether it works or not, we'll see. But I think that, the light spell, I think we need the light spells, because otherwise you guys are initiative 3 at best, and most of the other stuff can beat you, so you get in and then get battered before you get to fight, which is not so good.
Do you also think you need the light spells to force people to come to you, because you can't really chase them about the table, can you? Whereas if you've got the magic missiles, you can shoot them. They're going to have to cross the board to sort of try and shut down your magic. Whereas if you didn't have the offensive firepower, they might just sit off and, I don't know, try and shoot you back and pick your points off from long range. Whereas if they're getting that magic battery in every turn, they might be a bit more inclined to try and come to you, in which case you've got your monsters, your sphinxes and things like that to get in the face.
I think the Tomb Kings have got a lot, to be honest. I mean, you have got the magic missiles, but, I mean, you've also got the boosts, haven't you? I mean, +1 shot to every archer, and to cast it everywhere, it's, 18 to cast, I think, for every unit within 24. So if you've got a couple of unit of archers, that's a lot of shots you're kicking out in the shooting phase if you cast a spell.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think Tomb Kings have certainly got the chance to long-range magic people.
Yeah, the only thing is once they're in contact, and they will be in contact because they're going to come running at you pretty quick if you've got a lot of archers and stone throwers, then you've got to be able to fight. So you need something, but I think it's a nice balanced army book, this one so far. But it's not going to be anywhere in the top tables, I don't think.
No, really not.
No.
You
I
didn't
don't
do
think
bad
so.
at the last one you was out.
Yeah, I got the first 3 wins and then I got battered 3 times. Well, I didn't batter against you. It was close.
Yeah,
But,
it was close. It was really tight. Last dice roll.
but I struggled against Warriors because my initiative was... That's what... I just got absolutely battered because I got into combat and then got battered by everything because I couldn't strike. So they strike first, kill me.
Fair enough. So that maybe the light magic can buff you with the
I've gone for
initiative.
filthy light magic, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I like that. Right, so going to the rest of the heroes, obviously the new one we spoke about already is Necrotect. 60 points, gives hatred. I don't know, what do you think?
I like him. He's 3 attacks, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 60 points. Gives them hatred. Like I said, I was going to put the Cloak of Dunes on one and then throw him in with the unit of snakes. That would be quite funny. So,
4 snakes quite wide as well, so you can possibly keep the Necrotect
yeah, so
out
he
of
won't even
combat.
be fine. Well, even if he is fine, if you get speed of light off on him, then he's initiative 10 anyway. So
Yeah.
the snakes still get to do the damage before he dies because he's only got to be alive for the first round.
If you put him into units of 3, he can go the second rank. So you'd have 3. You'd have your full command.
If you had full command,
3
yeah.
with full command, and he'll be in the second rank out the
How
way.
filthy has that been? What a surprise.
I don't know. It's maybe there's something there. Gives you snakes hatred. He's hiding at the back out the way. In fact, you could have him in units of 4 or 5 or whatever. Just he can't go in the second rank, can he? He's got to go beside the front rank. 'cause
Yes,
it's
it's the
different base.
same,
Oh,
it's
that's a
different
shame.
size, yeah.
Gutted.
In other lists like the Tomb Kings, again, quite a few people have been talking about sort of trying to protect them and keep them alive, but
Doesn't matter.
you can just buy 2 of them and put them both in the same unit. I mean, it's only,
Yeah,
only
one
60
goes into
points
the
a model.
second rank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you should have one of them alive to give the hatred around. So
It's a lot of points, isn't it, really? And I don't know, I like the idea of running them with the light magic combat buffs rather than for the magic missiles. So get the initiative up.
Yeah.
They were striking first, and they shouldn't... Well, you get your hatred then before you...
Snakes
before he
would
dies.
really hurt.
Yeah. Should do. So elsewhere we've got Tomb Plints. I mean, last edition used to... Some lists would have him, some lists wouldn't. It was one of those which was useful but not an automatic choice. What about in this edition?
I think he's quite good because he's weapon skill 5 and he still gives a buff to the thing and he's at 70 points cheaper than a king. I'm using one on this weekend and he's only got Charm Shield and a great weapon. So
Just so he can be the general instead of the Hierophant.
leadership 9 as well, so it gives everybody leadership 9 instead of 8 from the Hierophant. So yeah, I think he's definitely 100 points. I'll take a couple. I think it's probably good, but I couldn't afford it in this one.
Fair enough.
He works well in your chariots units as well, I've found. Again, he's a relatively cheap character. If you don't really give him many items, you put him in the chariots, and they're all weapon skill 5. Even if someone kills his mount chariot out from underneath him, he's still part of the unit. So he still gives that weapon skill 5 to the whole unit, which is really useful.
Okay, how long does he stay part of the unit for? Until the end of the phase?
I
Or
think it's covered in the rules.
He
It says
stays-
until
He stays there until he leaves, but
Until
it
he
makes the movement of the chariot unit 4, which is pretty much not a good thing.
But once you're stuck in, it's fine.
Yeah.
So once you're in combat, until the unit's dead or
Yeah,
one.
okay.
So it's
And
quite useful.
he's quite tough, isn't he? Because he's still pretty tough.
Yeah, toughness 5, so
And 3 wounds, so he's quite hard. Strength 6. Not bad.
not bad. Okay, so next up we've got the Tomb Herald. Is this guy worth taking? Because you never used to see the icon bearer at all in the last edition, did you?
The model's not got much better, but apart from that, I don't think there's a new model for it yet, is there?
No.
I don't know. I think it's situational depending on what army you're taking. Again, he's good protection for your constructs. You lose 1 less wounded when you lose combat. That's 2 off for a construct. It means they don't die as quickly, but he's very fragile. I think
We're talking only ever taking him if you're taking a BSB. You wouldn't just take Heralds as normal without BSB then?
well, I don't know. He's there. As a bodyguard, he can be useful. If you're taking the Destroyer of Eternities, the Tomb Herald's useful to take at least one of those hits off of the king in a round of combat because the Destroyer doesn't leave you much protection for your king.
Yeah, they're 60 points though. You can have a Necrotect or you can have another Leash Priest or situational. If you take him with that bring the guys back banner, that might be worthwhile but other than that, and because Tomb Kings don't get any bonuses for re-rolls really. They can have the re-rolls if there's a Hierophant or when he dies. That might be handy, but it's a lot of points for if something happens.
Do you not see him being useful as just, what is 60 points, 85 with a banner, stick him on a horse, so just under 100 points, just for...
Combat res?
Not even combat res, just re-rolls on your Swift reforms and combat reforms and things like that.
Yeah, maybe because the leadership's not so good. But again, he's quite easy to kill. And there's another 100 points because he's a battle standard bearer, and he is easy to kill. So
only if you get him in combat, though, if you get the 100.
Is it?
Mm.
All right, okay.
You can't just shoot him down and take the 100.
All right. It's still a lot of points. I don't know. I think probably take maybe the other heralds if you're not using a king or a prince because they're quite cheap.
Yeah, I think if you're going for a purely combat army, I think I've found more use for him than if you're going for more of a mixture or balanced army. Just for getting manoeuvrability back into your force, as you said with Swift reforms, it helps. But
okay, fair enough. I'm surprised because no one ever runs without a BSB anymore, so I am surprised that you guys don't feel the love for him.
But you don't get the benefit from the BSB that you do for any other race because you don't get to roll on your leadership for your combat res because you're just going to take whatever casualty you've taken. It makes not a lot. One extra casualty if he's within 12 inches not worth the extra points. So I think he's a really, unless you're going to take something particular, you need the battle standard bearer for. You've got lots of constructs, and I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough. I think we've covered the rest. So moving on to the units, the core. Is it just chariots and bowmen nowadays, or you say you like the warriors, Chris? Do you rate the warriors? Soon?
Yeah, 4 points. Yeah, 90 points gives you 3 combat res plus a standard bearer, 4 combat res. So and it's 90 points. It's nothing, is it?
Yeah.
So you can have lots of little blocks of those, and it doesn't matter if you've got loads of them anyway. If you get any of the buff spells back off, then you get any of your guys that you've lost, and it doesn't matter if you lose 90 points, does it? You can use those as speed bumps, and they're still. If you put a king or a prince in them, they're weapon skill 5. 4 points is nothing. Wouldn't give them armour though.
no, I've not given mine armour or spears. Just a standard 4-point model, 32 of them, I think, in the list, something like that.
Just take a bit more time to hold the units up if they need to. Or even, like you say, once they're all buffed up, they can do some damage.
Actually do some damage. I know they don't do a lot of damage, but you still kick out 15 attacks from the unit that's 5 wide. So it's not the end of the world.
No, I suppose not. Okay, so what about the archers? I take it you're both running fairly big archer units? Or you're running units of 10s, or how you find your archer units?
I did try a couple of games with units of 10s in the tactic of multiple small units and shoot them, because at the end of the day they hit as well as elves, but they've only got 24-inch range. Yeah, the risk is you're going to lose them because you can never flee. But again, it's only a 60-point unit to have 10 archers, which is pretty useful. It's cheap, it's a roadblock. Extra
deployment. It makes a bit so you can see where the other stuff's going before it comes down. I quite like the archers. I've always liked the archers, so I've got quite a few in my list at the moment. A couple of units of 20, and then some smaller 15, 16 units behind. But they've only got musicians at the moment because in the one we're playing next, it doesn't really matter if you haven't got any of the scenarios to play, so it's just battle line. So
a lot depends on the scenario, just to see how many standards go in an army. So talking of the standards, what do you think to the new command group setups of 10 points across the board?
Makes it easy to add up.
Yeah.
So what you pay extra on your warriors and your archers, you gain back on your bigger stuff, chariots. And
give your command to the big stuff that doesn't really need it, but I quite like the champions on the big stuff, the snakes. That makes an extra attack, and then when they come back, he comes back on his own. So if they've got other guys that got wounds and he actually regenerate any of them, then he comes back with 1 wound, which can be really annoying. I like that.
Putting an extra model on even when... Yeah, okay. I like that. Okay, what about the mounted stuff, the horse archers and the supposedly heavy horsemen?
The horse archers I've been finding useful. I found them useful for war machine hunting if there's armies out there that have got them. The fact is you can scout them, and hopefully on turn 2 you can be charging a war machine somewhere, which is useful.
Do you think there'll be a war machine in combat?
Depends. Of course, fear. If you're looking at Empire war machines or something, I mean, I'm thinking here Empire and okay, maybe not dwarves failing fear test, but at least the Empire ones should be failing fear test leadership 7. Got a good chance of failing it. And if they've got an engineer kicking about, well, you can still shoot the engineer hitting on 5s, which is pretty useful. So they've got useful uses in the back, and if not, you can use them as another speed bump in the front of your army.
Yeah,
if you remember.
If you remember. And then chariots. Now, I take it you're both running these. I mean, you had 2 units when we played. Didn't
Yeah, I
you?
had 2 units of 4 for the first time using them, so I like them there, but they are definitely a glass hammer, because they'll go in and do some damage, and then most things will whack them to bits before they get to fight, because they're only initiative 3, and the horses are 2, so not so good. Sorry, they're 2 as well, are they?
The riders,
Good
this all
grief.
initiative 2.
I thought they're supposed to be the elite of the elite.
Weapon skill
Charioteers.
3.
Yeah. Oh.
But they do pack quite a punch nowadays.
Oh yeah, they definitely D6 impact hits is much better, and also having the extra attacks, because now you're getting 2 attacks per charioteer, and then 2 attacks for the horse. So that's 6. If you get the smiting off, you're on a 10 attacks from 1 chariot, which makes a big difference. So if they get to fight, if they're really really slow, then they can make a right mess. But they are very fragile. But then they come back really quick, because you can get D3 plus 1, or is it D3 plus 2? I can't remember. D3 plus 1, isn't it?
1.
Yeah, from any buffs cast on them, which makes them pretty resilient, as long as they don't die completely, which tends to happen.
They're also one of the few units that can actually take the magical banner in the Tomb King's list. I think there's only 3, I think, isn't it? Chariots, Tomb Guard, and the BSB.
Yeah.
So it gives you the option, doesn't it? It gives you another option to have a magic banner into your list, which can.
And
be
what are you
useful.
looking at? The flaming banner or the movement banner?
I found the flaming banner, because there's still stuff out there of regen that you want to try and get rid of. And it's just useful. It can be useful. It can be a downside, but I found it more useful than not.
Yeah, well, they also get the flaming on the shooting as well, so they can get, if they're lucky, you can get a few hits on. But I haven't tried the 6-man chariot units yet. I don't think that's a lot of points.
You've tried the 6s, haven't you, Chris?
I have, yeah. When I've tried the 6s, I tend to, as we said before, put prints in them to make them a little bit tougher for weapon skill purposes. But it's been, multiple D6 or 3 or 4 D6 strength 5 impact hits it's a lot of points in the chariot, but there's a lot of wounds to get rid of as well, so they do tend to stick around, and then hopefully you can get your Sphinxes and other units up to support them.
Okay. Do you not see them being used as the other way round, rather than your Sphinxes and your Knights go into the combats and then your chariots come in later to support them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the Sphinx is a very good tactic to use that, especially if you've got things that are sort of plus strength in the first round of combat. The Sphinxes are great for not dying in that first round.
Marauder flails.
Yeah, marauders with flails, and then they might still be frenzied the next round, but your chariots then can make a mess in the second round.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So we're liking the chariots. Now, you didn't mention units of 3. Both of you said 4s straight away.
No.
Do you not rate the 3s?
You could use them, but they're like throwaway units then, but they're quite expensive, sort of 165 points for a throwaway unit. But they can run in and do a lot of damage, but they aren't likely to survive. Whereas 4, you've got a better chance, really, haven't you?
Yeah, my theory is as well, you're always going to lose 1 to some shooting or something or other. So 3 hitting, you get 3d6 impact hits. That should be 10. That should be 10 hits, strength 4. So you've got a good chance of killing quite a few models. Whereas if you're down to 2, all of a sudden you're risking it.
Yeah, I suppose you can chuck 2 in and just lose them for no real gain, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay, what about command groups on them? You mentioned the standard bearer for the magic banner, musician, champion, 10 points to make him a champion. So especially with him going on the end of a unit, I think soaking up casualties because you're going to do 3 wounds.
Yeah, he can be used. I don't think I need to use the musicians though, because your chariots are generally moving forward. You've got the movement spell as well, so then you can pretty much, you know where you're going to go with your chariots. They've got reasonable speed, so you're not going to be doing, well, not likely to be doing, well, I don't tend to, I'm just going to run at things and kill them.
I think I've kept my musician on there because they're still leadership 7. You can swift reform them, even because my chariots are often not near the general, so they're often on their own leadership, and musician can be useful to try and reform once they've gone through, if they go through the enemy lines. If it's a small unit and you're facing away, because they're not fast cav anymore, that swift reform can actually be really useful.
Yeah, it brings them back into it a turn quicker, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, well, I think that covers the core. So the special choices are now packed out, aren't they? Loads of new units in there. So what's your standout in the special units?
Snakes.
The Knights, the Necropolis Knights.
Necropolis Knights. They've got to be the best so far. Good arm save, good toughness, and
Good
lots
attacks.
of attacks.
Good strength. With the buff, they all get
Yeah,
extra,
the smiting.
You know, that's pretty harsh.
So you keep mentioning the smiting, yet you're only running a single level 4. Do you not think...
Level 4 and level 1.
Oh, right, okay, so you've got the level 1 to make sure you get all the spells.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I was just about to suggest that might be a good idea. You think that's... You'd really need to make sure you get the spells you need?
Yeah, because you need smite. If you just take a level 4, I'm bound to roll the dice and then not get what I want, and then I have no smiting, and then my archers will be doing diddly.
Fair enough. Okay, so I mean, Knights are one of my favourite units in the new book.
They look nice as well.
They look really good. Pretty scary on the tabletop. What sort of unit sizes are you seeing them in?
4 I'm using.
Again, yeah, I'm using 4. Again, it's back to the same theory. 4 will hit a rank of 5 wide models, and you can sort of afford to lose one.
Yeah, fair enough. You're not liking the idea of the 6s?
Nah, because you lose out. You lose an extra 2 guys that are only getting 4 attacks from the rear rank. Sorry, no, you're getting 3, aren't you? Because you're only going to go... Unless you're going to go... No, I don't think so. It's too many points. They'll be survivable, but...
I think if you wanted to take 6 into your army, I'd potentially take 2 units of 3 to give you more flexibility on your flanks or something like that. If you could only afford the 6, I'd probably take 2 units of 3 rather than 1 unit of 6.
Okay, fair enough. So what do we think to the War Sphinx? I mean, the internet's gone mad saying it's the best thing in the list. You have them in pairs, it's even better. What do you guys reckon, having used them?
Yeah, I'd say probably quite good in 2s, but so far mine's not done particularly splendidly. So, but I've only got the 1 at the moment. But he looks really nice, so that's another reason to take him, because he's quite pretty.
I've got to say, he's useful. I mean, I've had some good games with him, I've had some bad games with him. I mean, I played you, and he held up Blackguard and a unit of spearmen for many turns before he died. I've had other games when he's been charged by some Chaos Warhounds with a few wounds left, and he's taken 3 wounds on the charge and died. But I think in more games than not, he's useful. He's a benefit. He's great for taking on the elite troops of other armies that would otherwise decimate your own army. That's potentially one of the good roles for him, slowing down the opposition.
He's got vulnerabilities, though. Poison is going to really cause him all sorts of problems. Skinks and then ghouls are just going to rip him to bits.
Yeah.
Because toughness 6 doesn't matter if you've got poison, you're just going to go down. So, and the cannons as well can take him out pretty quick. There's no ward save. You've only got 5 plus armour, so even archers can put damage on him, put enough shots on him. You're going to roll some 6s. Your 5 plus armour save's not brilliant. So I think he's going to attract a lot of attention. But then for 230 points, if you're taking the raw, that's not really a problem.
It's 210 points. That breath weapon's an option, you know.
Mate, who's not taking the breath weapon? All right,
let's be fair.
I'll have a strength 4 breath weapon for 20 points. Nah, I think I'll just stay where I am.
So what about the envenomed sting?
Nah, I don't think it's really... It might make a difference, but it's with his 4 attacks, 5 if you get the smiting off, but... No, I don't think it's really absolutely necessary.
No, not necessarily. It's nice that if you've got 10 spare points in your list, it could be a nice thing. But
you
better than a champion in one of the other units, or
not better than a champion on a unit of snakes or a chariot. No.
Okay, so I think that you've got to take the Sphinxes personally. If I came up against a Tomb King army that wasn't running any of them, I'd be rubbing my hands. And if I see 2 of them on the table, it sort of terrifies me, because they are a lot to deal with for some armies. I do think most of the power builds you see at tournaments for the Tomb Kings will be running 2 of them. But I might be wrong. Once the dust settles on them, might find that they are too many points at 230 each. We'll have to see, eh?
Or too much money.
You're too much money to buy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the Stalkers? Sepulchral Stalkers. So the transmogrifying glare, or whatever it's called, gaze.
Really like the figures. However, without having skirmish or a musician, they're pretty much stuck where they're going. Because to turn anywhere else, it's going to be very difficult, because you've got to use your reform, which means that you can't shoot So I take it counts as
Yep.
a shooting attack, so they can't shoot. So you've got to be very. They take up a massive area as well. I think they might be quite fun, and I really like the figures, so I am going to do some. But
So general consensus is the Stalkers aren't much cop, but still have the uses if you really want to play with the models because you like the models, but
Yeah.
for general competitiveness, not that great.
nobody's used them yet.
No, one of the turkeys in the book.
Not unless you come across lots of elite small units.
Yeah, no. Okay, so let's look at the other stuff. We've got Carrion. So they've had quite some changes, haven't they? The biggest one being, obviously, the fly move is now 10 inches rather than 20. But they've got a lot better in combat sort of to counteract that.
Yeah, massive nerf with the 10-inch movement. They're pretty well. I took them last time, and Unit 4 didn't do anything in any of the games because it couldn't get anywhere. Sorry, I lie. It managed to stop a unit of chariots getting shot to bits because there's skirmishers in front. And you shot them. Was it you who shot them?
I charged them at nights.
All right, yeah. Oh, don't even talk about that. Yeah, that's an 11 then. Oh, bugger. That's my Hierophant behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't mention the Blackguard one on the 3 the next turn.
Yeah.
So, Carrion, what do you think, Chris?
They're good for defensive protection of your catapults or something like that. That's what I've managed to use them as. Same problem as Singe. The fact is, with only 10-inch movement, you can't get them to where you want them to be doing, threatening people's war machines or the.
You can't get round the flanks.
Yeah.
You can't get round the side out of charge arc because you've only got a 10-inch move, so you're stuffed. So you can't use them as you normally would a flyer. They're much better in combat now because they're toughness 4, strength 4, and 3 attacks now. But they just get whacked by other stuff because they can't actually get into the place they need to be used unless you're using a movement spell to move them again. But then you've got to be within 12 in it, I think. Yeah, 12 unless you go for the big spell. And then that would make them a little bit, but then you have to use a spell to use a unit that you want to harass people, which is not so good.
Counterproductive. Okay, so Carrion, a bit meh, but... okay, and the 24 points each, though, fairly cheap, do you not think?
Yeah, cheap and cheerful, but they can't do the job that you want them to do.
Fair enough. Okay, so next up, Tomb Scorpions. These used to be the favourites. What do we reckon now? Does the new tunnelling rules just nerf them too much? And one less wound as well.
I think if you could start them on the table, yeah, I think I'd still like them. But the fact is, you've got to start them under the ground. When they come up, yeah, they can come up anywhere, which is useful for you. But you can't charge them. You've got to spend a turn lurking before you can charge something, and people then can move out your charge arc or
shoot you,
or any of the other options.
And that's if they come up on the first turn, or turn 2, on a 3+, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not. And then on top of that, you've still got the misfire, which can kill them. I
think if they could start in your battle line, definitely have a place for them still. But
yeah, they'll still be all right. They'll still be okay for killing, war machines and stuff. But they're just not going to be. It's turn 3 before you actually get in to do anything, and that's going to be a killing war machine. And it's like you said, you could have a couple of tomb swarms which are going to do the same thing, and they get more attacks, and you can't be killed with one shot. So I don't know. I haven't got any on my list.
No? Okay, so Tomb Swarms, you just mentioned them there. I mean, I don't know. I never liked them in the old edition, but some people ran them all the time. What do you think now?
I still like them. I used to run them in the old edition. I've got a couple in the list I'm running at the moment. They're really there 2 reasons. One is obviously war machines around. You've got 10 attacks from 2 bases. You can't be killed by one shot. And they've got poison, so they've got a great chance of killing off the war machine crew or winning the combat. At leadership 10 as well, they don't suffer from sort of being sniped at by spells or crumbling or anything like that. So that's again useful. Or you can just use them as I used them the other day against yourself, and you just jump them out of the ground and stick them in front of a unit.
Yeah, use them as a blocker on the turn they come up.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Singe?
I think they're going to be okay for annoying things, but they're 80 points. 80 points is
it's a lot
of
isn't it?
Skeletons. That's 20 skellies with a shield.
Another one on Light Wizards.
Yeah. Well, nah.
Got enough.
Another one. Yeah. I think 3's enough.
10 points off a catapult.
Yeah. Or like you say, more skellies, more archers, or nearly a couple of chariots.
Yeah, there's all sorts you can have. Okay, next up, Tomb Guard. Now, they're 11 point cheaper than they used to be, but still nearly 3 times the amount of a Skelly Warrior. So what are our thoughts on these?
I thought they were quite reasonable until you shot them all to bits within one turn, about.
And it wasn't even a lot of shots, neither, was it? It was just,
you just rolling awesome dice, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're quite nice, but they are quite expensive, and 11 points. And if you're going to give them outwards as well, so that's 13 points a model. It's a lot of points, and very slow. Not being able to march still hurts. But if you put the king in there, they can be a really nasty unit that's going to cause you all sorts of problems with the buffs. But people are switched on; they ain't going to go anywhere near it.
So what are you thinking? 30 of them in a horde with halberds and king, but it's still.
I think the horde formation's got to be the way forward. I mean, I got upset in time I've been using them a bit, and then I've dropped them from my list after being charged by 3 wraiths on a magic charge from a vampire who then made the wraiths weapon skill 10, and I went, great, I can do absolutely nothing with my Tomb Guard unit now because I can't hit them and I can't do anything about it.
You need a magic weapon on your king.
No, have a king with a magic weapon. Would you have a great weapon?
No, I had a great weapon at the time.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, on the Tomb Guard, there are a lot of points. There are big point sinks. Some people like playing that. I know you've always played that style of list, haven't you, Chris, with the Tomb Kings? The big Tomb Guard bunker with a lot of points in it.
Yeah, I've tried it, but it's not suiting me in this edition. I think I think you've got a bit. If you want to do it, I think there's a viable list out there for doing it. Definitely,
you've got to gear your whole army around it, though.
But yeah, you're right. You've got to build your army around that block.
You've got to have a massive block. I would say at least 40, and then you're not going to. What are you going to kill with that? Not a lot.
It's about getting your points back.
Yeah.
Okay, so last one in the special section, the Ashapti. All new ones with bows as well, possibly. What do you reckon to these, with or without bows? And obviously they've lost their... they used to be strength 6 all the time, didn't they? Now they've got great weapons. So what do we reckon?
It's a bit of a massive nerf. They're really nice figures as well. The bows might be usable if you get your smiting off, but it's going to have to be at least 4, and then that's still 200 points. There's an awful lot of points for stuff that's not going to do an awful lot. Or if you go really big unit, I suppose you could try a big massive unit of
a horde formation.
Say 18, that would be quite funny. But again,
900 points.
Yeah, a ridiculous amount of points. So it's all your special choices. But it'd be quite funny though when you shot that with smiting on 36 shots, wouldn't it?
So you could run the 18 with bows.
Yeah,
and then there's still
would be really funny.
still 3 strength 4 attacks each when they get into combat.
Yeah, and you're going to get your
comboed with
stomps.
desiccation and your stomps,
and you'd get your you'd get 3 attacks from everybody in the ranks. So that'd be
3 ranks, and 9 attacks per model.
Yeah,
it's 6 wide, so yeah.
54 attacks, is it? Yeah. 54 attacks, yeah. Get killing blow off, yeah. Good God, that could be quite horrible.
Your eyes are lighting up now. You're thinking about taking this one, aren't you?
Yeah. It would be really funny. Get a necrotext in there.
Pick a nice fluffy tournament.
Yeah, and turn up with that.
I'm bringing my fluffy Ashapti army.
Yeah, it's only a Ashapti bows. Oh my God, that would be quite funny.
I personally don't think you'll see him a lot unless people like the models and they are insane.
one of the lads is taking 6, isn't he? So that's not.
I think again, comparison-wise, it's if you compare them to Tomb Guard, who are also strength 4, you get more Tomb Guard and more wounds in a Tomb Guard unit than you do from an Ashapti. So
yeah,
so that's really.
And you only get 1 back,
and you can't heal them.
Yeah, you get 1 back unless you got the BSB with the nice banner. That would be fun. That would be a good place for him to go.
Yeah, but he can get shot out, can't he? Cannons.
Yeah, but if you put
another infantry
unit behind it within 6 inches?
3 inches.
3 inches, so and then he's got a 4+ lookout Sirwell.
Yeah,
so.
Still get shot. Hey, them cannons will be strange.
It's all good for a laugh. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's there's, like I said before, there's a lot of stuff in here. All of it's viable. I think you can build something out of any of it. Whether you want to go really at the cutting edge, that's when some of the stuff drops off. Okay, so on to rare choices. I think it's one of each here, isn't it? You've got what, a Colossus, a Hara Titan, a Necro Sphinx, Screaming Skull Catapult, and a Casket of Souls. So you just go for the Casket, the Catapult, and the Hara Titan in every list. or even 2 catapults?
At the moment, yeah. They're just so useful as models, and what they give the synergy to your army. It's all about the synergy, to be honest. And those 3 work. The High Titan works with the casket, and you always want a catapult because, well, you want to threaten something, and the opposition's army 60 inches away.
Yeah, he's got to come towards you. I mean, you only got 2 in 6 chance of actually getting him to actually hit anything, but as the threat's there, and if he does and he then hits it and wounds it, doesn't roll a 1, it's always good. then it can really mess people up for 90 points. So it's just a threat, really. I don't think they're actually too effective. It's just a massive threat that people have got to deal with, so they've got to come to you, really.
Would you take Schools of the Foe, or do you think 30 points just too much?
Nah, too much immune psychology now.
It's the problem is at the end of the day, you've got too many BSBs.
Yeah, and plus 1 leadership banners.
It just doesn't affect it enough as it used to.
Okay, well, Casket of Souls. This is been getting all the love on the internet. It adds power dice. It's got a spell which can kill all sorts of stuff. What do we actually think to it once it's on the table and you're playing with it?
Lovely, very nice.
You definitely have one in every single army?
Yeah, you need it because Team Kings have got to use magic. They're not going to be able to, if they don't get enough dice, they're pretty well stuffed. So they need to get that thing in. And also, you can deal with some things that the rest of your army can't. And when they get killed, they kill stuff, which is always good. I like that.
Would you take 2?
I've tried 2 before, a few games, and yeah, it's useful. But I think I took the 2 of them just because I was worried about cannons taking one out. So you still keep your D3. It is useful to have the two lots of spells off, but
not required, is it?
No, I think 2's. I don't think 2 adds as much to your list as potentially adding
a cheaper stone thrower.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about these large targets? So we've got the Colossus first. Obviously, it's just like the old Bone Giant, really, isn't it? Still got the Unstoppable Assault. You can give it a bow, a great weapon, or extra hand weapon. So what do we think to these?
I like it. I've not used it in the lists that I've been running, but at the same time, if I went for a more of a heavy monster type list, I think it was certainly worthwhile addition. He's toughness 6, strength 6. It's in combination with other things, it does work.
Yeah, it might be quite funny with the speed of light on him. He rolled in his misses and
yeah,
that would be quite funny.
A lot of the stuff in the Tomb Kings book is combinations.
Yeah, a
lot of things work well with a combination, whether it's a spell, whether it's another unit. That's what the Tomb King book's about.
Yeah, there's nothing in there that is really broken. Everything's got its weaknesses, but they've all got certain roles to play, but you've just got to figure out what you need to deal with everything else that everybody else has got. But you've got nothing like the Hydra, which will go and fight everything. You've got nothing even close to that. And I suppose the War Sphinx is nearly close to it, but it's so vulnerable to other things. I don't think there's anything in the book that's busted. I think it's nicely booked, nice balanced book. So I think we'll see a lot of different variants in the army lists. They're not going to be the same.
I'll agree with that, I think. Yeah, definitely. The next up, we've got the Hydra Titan. You're saying about variants, but surely everyone's going to have one of these.
Yeah, I think it'd be if you've got if you unless you're going to go for an assault list, so you've got say a level 2 Hierophant, and you're going for all the monsters running forward and kicking your head in, then I think you could probably lose it then because you don't need it. But if you're trying to get some spells off, then the extra D3 makes a big difference. And it's pretty much going to be in there. If you've got the casket, then you're going to be having a Hydra Titan. If you've got more than one wizard, and he's not a level 2 or a level 1, then he's definitely going to be in there. Okay,
obviously he's got his bound spells, which are always useful. And he's even all right in combat when he gets in on a corner with other units, gets the Thunder Stomp in, a couple of high strength attacks. So, yeah, not all bad. So, last thing in the whole list, the Necrosphinx. Do we see a place for this?
I like it, but again, I don't think it beats the regular Sphinx. I think the biggest thing for the Necrosphinx is if you've already got a War Sphinx in your list and you want to have a second one that moves a bit faster. again, it's the threat. If you're playing, it depends. I mean, if you're going to a tournament, yeah, you don't know what you're going to come across. But if you come across a steam tank, you can put that Necrosphinx into it. It's got a good chance of killing the steam tank. It's got a good chance to. I know it's meant to kill monsters, but it's unlikely to do it with the heroic killing blow. But it's certainly going to hold those monsters up for a few turns, and that's where I think its main benefits are. It's never going to beat a ranked up unit of infantry, but the Sphinxes aren't meant to be for. No,
they're to hold the big units.
Yeah.
Things like the Grave Guard with the great weapons, which smash face on everything. The Sphinx just doesn't bat an eye at them, does it? Hold them up to get your chariots or your second Sphinx or your snakes in. Get the combos in. Okay, well, I think we'll go for a short break and then we'll come back. We'll talk about how you see the general army builds and styles of play of the Tomb Kings. Unseen Lurker is a new, exciting gaming magazine covering gaming, tactics, hobby, modelling, reviews, interviews, and even the occasional zebra. Each issue has a quarter of the magazine available for download, so you can try before you buy. It's the first independent global magazine encompassing articles from generals and hobbyists all over the world. Every issue of Unseen Lurker, that's Lurker with an E, is packed with giveaways such as custom dice, t-shirts, as well as the Game of the Month as reviewed by our Unseen Lurker test dummies. For more information, check out unseenlurker.com. Okay, so we've had a look at what's in the book and a bit of a rundown of what we think each unit's going to do. But as we went through, the thing we sort of said about every single unit is it relies on the synergies more than anything. So how do you guys think you'll see the Tomb Kings being played as a list as a whole? I mean, obviously, they're going to have a couple of different options, but how would you like to see it played? Chris?
I don't know. I mean, well, as I said, my preference, the way I'm playing at the moment, is I've got I'm using a bit of everything. I've got the combat, I've got the magic, and I've got the shooting. So I'm using it in all three phases, and I'm holding back a bit, shooting up at range, letting the opposition come to me, and then you get to countercharge. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. At the moment, I'm just ahead on wins to losses, but I think there's going to be armies out there that just will beat Tomb Kings no matter what you try and do. Okay,
that's a bit doom and gloom, but so you see you're playing it quite defensively and trying to countercharge.
Yeah, defensive and then countercharge.
It's always been the way with Tomb Kings, isn't it? Really, you stay back and then you countercharge because you can't march. So I imagine you could probably make a very offensive list, but that'll be very vulnerable to other stuff. So I think taking a bit of everything, you can deal with everything then. I think the balanced lists, I think, are the ones that are going to do okay, but I think they're still going to struggle against stuff that's got faster initiative, because we are going to get into combat eventually, because you can't stand and shoot, so you're not going to be able to do anything about that. So you've got 2 or 3 turns before you get hit, and then you've got to be able to fight back or hit them just prior to you getting it. But I think they've got everything. Everything has got strengths and weaknesses in the list. So I think it's a really nice book. It's much better than the old books, and I think hopefully that's the way they're going to run with them. So they're all quite reasonable. You know, it's not going to be our top list, I don't think. Well, never. It's new, isn't it? We'll see, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a decent list you can get out of these. So I'm going to give them a go for a few months, or 6 months, or 7 months, or something.
They're only the second book out, so it'd be interesting to see what happens in future books. Are all books going to be more toned down and balanced? Who knows?
How did you guys think they compared to the Orcs and Goblins?
I've had a couple of games against Orcs and Goblins. I've had a win and a draw against them. I like it's an interesting matchup. I think it works well, but then again, both armies are quite low initiative, so both armies tend to be striking about the same sort of time. But I'm finding that I found the combined charges really hammer the Orcs, getting all the impact hits. That's what the Orcs don't deal with very well, even if they are +1 strength first round of combat. Yeah,
so you think it's going in with your chariots, smashing them up, losing the chariots, and the knights can go in and tidy up, or the Sphinx can go in and tidy up later.
Yeah, and if you don't, because you do so many wounds, I've found that you don't tend to lose your unit either. So you then next turn you cast a few magic spells on them, get the chariots up by D3+1 wounds every cast, and away you go.
So what do you think, Singe? I mean, you used quite an aggressive list at Tempest, didn't you?
Yeah, it's quite. They're good for charging in. I beat the Orcs and Goblins I played last competition. I've got Orcs and Goblins first round. This one, so I'm hopefully quite confident. The big blocks of Orcs don't have that much armour except for the Savage Orcs with the ward save and the extra bits. But I think the chariots will go in and then they'll die, but they'll have damaged the unit so much that you can then tidy up with, like you say, the other bits and pieces, or maybe hit something else and let the big unit move forward and get shot a bit until it's a bit smaller, and then send something else to try and deal with it. And with the amount of magic I'm going to have, hopefully, touch wood, then I should be able to get rid of some of the more annoying elements of the Orc and Goblin list that can cause me an awful lot of pain.
Yeah, they are nasty, some of the things like the manglers and
the manglers have got to go.
Regular fanatics I've had problems with as well, because they just jump out in front of you and you can't do much about it.
Yeah, but you've got a lot of shots. A lot of shots from various different places.
I tend to throw things straight out to get them out, and then I'm not bothered. If they hit me, then you can always move them back with a spell as well. So if you chuck it forward, and then all his guys come out, and if they don't beat the shit out of you, well, even if they do, you can then move them back, cast a spell, and they get healed anyway. So you've got all these fanatics out of the way, and you've got your unit back. So
or just stick the Sphinx in front of him.
Yeah. Just run the Sphinx at him and say, "Hey, boo." And they've got to come out anyway, so they'll fly towards your other more sort of squishy stuff. But it's them out the way. But the guy I played the other week, he had a load of pump wagons and loads of chariots, and they can really hurt if they get in. So they're random movement with the manglers and the pump wagons are pretty harsh. They do a lot of damage when they hit, and not being that tough, we can take an awful lot of damage. So they have to go. Before you get anywhere near it.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've covered about everything we want to cover. We've had a few questions from the Twitter. I've been posting up asking the guys on Twitter who follow us if they've got any questions for you. So first one in, there's some of them, we've had loads of questions, some of them we've covered already. One of them in, do you see the all monster and chariots and cavalry army being viable? So you can run 5 Sphinxes, 3 War Sphinx, 2 Necro Sphinx, and then Corey's chariots and Hierophant. I don't know where it goes, but it goes somewhere.
I think that's when you get the use for the Hierophant and some heavy horsemen, because at least he gets a decent save.
Or in your fast cavalry, so you can move sideways 8 inches if you need to.
Yeah, that might be no, you can't, because he's not fast cavalry, so they can't do it.
Oh, it stops them being fast cavalry, does it?
Yeah, non-fast cavalry.
You can have 2 units side by side and jump units.
Yeah, but now I don't think so. I think you got too many. If you somebody used that, and like I was saying earlier, and someone comes out with a Doom Wall, gets 3 shots off, bang, 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 at strength, whatever, and it's just going to do a horrible amount of damage to that sort of list. I think it's too many points into not enough stuff to. I don't know. I don't think it'll be I think balanced is more the way to go, because you can deal with everything, or try and deal with stuff. I don't think there's going to be we'll see. Someone might bring out and trash everything.
I think it'd be a fun list to play. As I said, I want to try it, but I don't own the models, and I might borrow some models off a friend who's decided he's not playing Tomb Kings for a bit.
Spat his dummy out because he kept losing. I really like the idea of the monster list. I think it would be ever such good fun to play. The five monsters and 3-4 chariot units and minimal characters. You don't need to put many points in characters if you're running that many big monsters. I don't think. Well, I don't think it'll be competitive. I don't think it'll be uber competitive. I think it'll have some horrendous matchups, but it'll also have some games where it'll just win 20-0 without really batting an eye. But that's the problem. You don't know what you're going to face at a tournament. So yeah, maybe not with that one. Okay, so what else have we got here? Colossus, we've already covered. The comp. Do you think? How do you think the comp will go on the Tomb Kings? Are you concerned that people are just going to ban the?
I hope they don't ban the
Titan and Casket comp.
Yeah, they're going to ban. People are going to go, "Oh, it's broken." But the problem is Tomb Kings, as we said, they rely on synergies. They do rely on being able to do a magic phase. There's nothing in the Tomb Kings list that kills the opposition in their magic phase, really, that is broken in the way that potentially other spells are, and you don't want combinations where that break stuff. It's just the two. I don't know. I don't. From playing them and playing against them, I don't feel that they are that broken. Even with the stuff you've got, even with people,
I don't think they're broken at all.
Yeah.
They're a middle of the road list. I think they're good. They're all right, but they're nowhere near anywhere like demons or dark elves or 2 Slan lists.
Yeah, fair enough.
with cupped hands and all sorts of nastiness.
That's what none of you want to face at the weekend, then, is it?
Yeah, we're going to get some of that, I think.
Okay.
There's always Killing Blow, I suppose.
Okay, next up, if someone did want to run a really aggressive list and they're running the Chariot King, how would you kit him out?
I think the Chariot King, I mean, there's a risk he loses his mount, but you want him to be there, you want him to be alive. Because, I mean, I suppose, you give him armour, preservation, the fort ward, maybe.
Dragon Helm.
I'd give him that 60-point item. Yeah, don't care about your general.
And have the mask. Yeah.
The golden mask. And run
golden
straight
mask.
into things.
Yeah, just run in it and batter stuff.
Would you run a magic weapon on him?
Yeah.
I think I'd give him a cheap one, yeah.
Yeah,
you only have to give him a 5-point.
Like the one I used against your lot.
So what's that plus?
There's a 5-point sword that if you hit and wound a character or monster, it loses the amount of hits that you've done on him.
Right, okay, so you could run in.
Yeah,
do
it's
a
only
couple of
5
hits.
points. He's strength 5 anyway. He doesn't need anything massive.
Warrior Bane.
Yeah,
Warrior Bane.
It's a real nasty
The
bug.
basic sword, but 5 points gives you magic attacks.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
if he does it anything nasty, because he's strength 5, and if you haven't dropped his toughness with the priest, then he's going to hurt. And then every wound that he inflicts, you lose an attack. So that's really quite funny.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so what else have we got? Most of the questions were, do you think 2 units, every army's going to have 2 Sphinxes? We already covered that, I think. 2 Sphinx and 2 Necro Knight units. Again, it's struggling to get all the points in, isn't it?
I think that's going to be quite common, though, but that does get you, that's about 1,000 points, isn't it?
I mean, I played against Adam Hall and with the Tomb Kings on Tomb Kings, and he was running 2 units and knights, 2 Sphinxes. I was running 2 catapults, and I had my 2 catapults versus one of his Sphinxes every turn. Eventually, the catapults won. And that then broke one of his flanks. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's good, but there's plenty of armies out there that have cannons and all sorts that will take one of them out. You could take them both out on the same turn. But, hey, it's a dice game.
Fair enough. So one of the things we've not talked about actually was when we talked about the magic law choices, you never mentioned death magic at all. Do any of you think it's much cop?
It's short ranged, so you're not going to be able to get it off until later on. There's a couple of really good spells in there, but I think the dropping their strength and toughness again on a 10 instead of an 11 is a bit of a bonus, but you've got to get that, and you're using another law. You've got to take Nakara anyway. So you're either going to go death or light, and I prefer light because you've got more range. Death's all quite short stuff, and you've got a bit of death anyway on the Hyro Titan, who's quite nice.
Yeah, it's only short range, 12-inch though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you only be using him when you're actually in combat, aren't you? So bound on a 4, it's not bad. It's better than chucking it on your 7 for the base one. Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think you start to want to having level 2 priest as well if you're taking death, because I don't know.
I don't rate death at all.
No.
I mean, a lot of people like it. The way I see it is you don't often kill characters, and if you do kill characters, it's ones that your opponent didn't really want to protect anyway, so it's not going to get you much. If your opponent wants to protect his characters, he can, either by leaving them out of range or by having tooled up magic wards, magic resistance, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's not, you're looking for your Purple Sun, which is good against a third of the armies, maybe
and
half
a king,
the armies.
really, as well, because then you've got leadership 10 if your wizards are in there, so it makes a bit of a difference. If you get it off, it's going to do
Your
something.
Doom and Darkness has a chance, doesn't it, with the -3 to leadership. Helps potentially with different, depending on what you've taken, but...
Now, do you think people will start bringing a lot of death magic now the Tomb Kings have been released? A lot of monsters with low initiative, a lot of characters which they rely on. Do you think you'll see that used against Tomb Kings much?
Nah, because it's too short and it's not effective against other things. It's good for character sniping, but again, it's all short range stuff, and it's quite high casted, most of it. So it's I like the wither. I really do like the withering. That's nice. But I used to use that with my beasts. But I don't think it's not going to be a big thing with the Tomb Kings. I don't think.
No.
Don't think so.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I think that about rounds up our Tomb Kings review. So, thanks for coming and chatting to us. I think we're going to record a bit of content for the Snake Eyes section now. We're going to do 20 minutes or so just on what the Tomb Kings aren't going to want to face. So, we'll go for another break, and then we'll come back. We'll wrap up the show.
Once upon a time, there was a guy named Oggy. Oggy loved nothing more than to go to a Warhammer tournament on a Saturday afternoon. He got his lovely army all ready to go, all purchased from the Og Games web store. And he'd even lined up his first 8th edition Warhammer event. The day of the tournament came, and it was horrible. He got smashed in every single game. It was all too much. Oggy was ready to give in. He'd had enough. He didn't want to play this silly game anymore. It was going to be an epic rage quit. And then the voices started.
Oggy! Oggy! Embrace the filth! Oggy! Embrace the filth!
It was like a switch had been flipped. Oggy was a new gamer. He headed straight to the Og Games web store, oggames.co.uk, and he created his armies of mass destruction, and the best thing was, they were all at 15% off. So head on over to oggames.co.uk, where you can get anything you need from the Games Workshop universe at 15% off. They also have a huge range of products that can satisfy all your wargaming needs. That's oggames.co.uk.
Okay, so that's another show in the bag. Big thanks to Singe and to Chris for coming on and chatting to us all about the Tomb Kings. Hopefully they had some nuggets of information in there. It'll be interesting to see how they both go at the weekend. They're both going to this Maelstrom Games tournament. So, yeah, we'll check on the progress. Hopefully I'll be getting down there at some point during the weekend to see how everyone's doing. I try and do a bit of recording for the Snake Eyes section while I'm there. Okay, so thanks to them. And more thanks has to go out to Ben for 63 episodes with us. I don't think the show would have got this far without his involvement. Yeah, been all over Europe doing the show. Lots of episodes, lots of good discussions. So yeah, big thanks to him. We wish him all the best in what he's doing in the future. Hopefully we're back. Hopefully it's not permanent, but I'm sure the show is going to go on. We're not going to be rage quitting anytime soon. Bad Dice is here to stay. We're just going to have a bit of a change of format. So big thanks to all the guys on Twitter who sent the questions in for this show. I think we're going to be having more of that in the future. We're going to have it more guest driven. Some of the listener feedback, going to be covering that a lot more. Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking things from strength to strength. Hopefully, well. That wraps up this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.